You're listening to the #1 podcast for nonprofit leaders, getting your nonprofit fully funded. This is the Fundraising Masterminds Podcast. Welcome back to another episode of Fundraising Masterminds. I'm your host, Jason Galasinski, and this is Jim Dempsey.
Hey, Jason.
Well, Jim, I've got a 5, I got a 5, I got a 5, I got a 10, I got a 10. Anyone got a 10? Anyone got a Jim? You got a 10. You raised your eyebrow. I saw that. You committed to 10. Don't let me down here. Come
Jason.
on. Give me a 25. I need a 25. Anyone got a 25? I see the man in the back. He's got a 25. Anyone else?
Sensing this is the episode on auctions, Jason. Am I right?
You probably could tell by the name of the title.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
But yeah, we're talking about auctions.
Auctions.
They are the best thing for fundraisers, right?
As annoying as a root canal.
I wasn't expecting that one. Oh boy, as annoying as a root canal, as Jim says.
Man.
Well, before we get into auctions and why you should not be doing them for fundraisers, we would love for you to subscribe to our podcast. You can hit that like button right now, and you can subscribe on YouTube or on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, because we have weekly episodes coming out, and we would love for you to see them. But Jim, I'm talking really fast because I feel like I need to, because we're doing all this auction stuff, and auctioneers just talk really fast and I can't understand what they're saying.
Yeah.
And that just makes it's a infuriating experience. I know. It's very exciting to go to a fundraiser.
It's invigorating and thrilling.
It's a very
infuriating.
I just invented a word.
You did, and you're giving me the Italian. I'm Italian. It's infuriating. Okay.
Oh man,
right.
It's getting late.
Yeah.
But,
okay.
So tell me about auctions.
Yeah. Well, you can probably tell by the don'ts of things that we're going to talk about why you should not be doing an auction for your event.
Well, I mean, I understand the auctioneer is kind of annoying. I have a great idea.
Yes.
Let's get a bunch of people to donate a bunch of really cool items.
Okay.
We'll lay them out all over the lobby.
Yeah.
So when people are waiting to go in, we're gonna do what you recommend. We're going to follow your model to a T. Okay. But in addition to that, because we just want to raise a little bit more money.
Sure. Absolutely.
We think that we should just put all these items out.
Right.
And as people are waiting, it can be a fun thing.
Oh, yeah. You trinkets, little necklaces.
No, I'm not talking about trinkets. I'm talking about
rings.
I'm talking about real things like, mixers and, microwaves and dishwashers and
for sure.
whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean,
things that are all related to our organization.
Right. Well, think about it though. I mean, you get all these businesses that donate these items.
Sure.
It's not any cost to you.
Right.
And you got people in there that bid it up.
Yes.
It's called a silent auction.
Right.
And you just check her at the time to see if your item has been bid up, and you just go out and bid. And, great way to raise money.
Maybe you're going to get yourself a microwave for $10 or something like that. Yeah.
Surely you don't have anything against that.
Jason, I can tell you, is one of my top 5 don'ts.
Top 5 don'ts.
It is. And I can tell you that list it's extremely short, because the top 5 are some of the biggest offenses that we can have.
Right.
And auctions, auctions
why
are on there.
Are we going to talk about why?
We're going to talk about why right now.
Because I don't trust Jim Dempsey. I need scientific.
You need scientific
proof.
Evidence. That's exactly right.
We are just random YouTubers that don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So we need backing.
Yes.
But fortunately for our viewers who are watching this, some of you may not know that Jim has worked for 40 years with one of the world's largest organizations, raised
38 of those in ministry,
raising $26 million a year using the development tactics that we're talking about. And again, it's not like you started your ministry with all these tactics under your belt, but it took me 40 years to learn all this stuff. Right?
Well, in fact, I still say I feel like I'm still learning even now after 38 years.
Right. So really, I would say Jim is obviously one of the most knowledgeable experts in the field of Christian nonprofit organizations in terms of fundraising. I mean, this guy knows so much information. That's why we started this podcast, because I want to try to help extract, all the wisdom and knowledge that you've learned over the years, so that we can all benefit.
We can give it back. We can give back to.
We want to help you. We want to help nonprofits raise money and
make a difference.
And I can tell you, I started a software company in 2006 called Fundeasy. Raised a lot of money. doing fundraisers, helping nonprofits do fundraisers.
Yeah.
And one of the number one requested features to our software company is auction management.
Wow. Isn't that amazing?
And unfortunately, because we often ask our customers to give us feedback, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people are requesting that we build auction software.
Yeah.
And I have to continually remind people that, as much as we would love to build auction software and help,
right.
the real question is, should we build auction software?
Right.
Is it actually, we could do that.
Making a difference.
We could build auction software and we could charge, a monthly fee to use it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if we're building a tool that ultimately goes against best practices,
right.
is it really the right thing to do?
Yeah. Jason, I can't tell you how many organizations that I've come in to help. And unfortunately, auctions is one of the reasons why they need help, because they end up in a downward spiral. Someone mentioned at some point in time.
It's an infuriating experience.
It is an infuriating experience, and you have to use the Italian.
It's an infuriating
experience. Yeah.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you want one? It's great.
Yeah. One time or the other, either a board member or a donor or someone in the organization recommended doing an auction. Yeah. So they started it, and they started down that path. And unfortunately, once you start down the path, it's very difficult to start.
When a lot of times it's like more of a, this would be a fun idea.
Right.
Or, let's try something new.
Yeah, let's add on to make more money.
It's like, I understand we're going to do a dinner, but let's change it up. Let's make it different. Let's make it
funner.
Fun.
Yeah, exactly.
More fun. Yeah. And, and that's where these kinds of ideas come from.
Yeah.
And really, in many ways, I can't tell you how many times I hear this, but when people find out that we are doing a vision dinner course, and they learn, generally they think they know what it is that they're getting, but they probably don't.
Right.
But a lot of times people roll their eyes and go, it's one of those.
Right.
And honestly, when you've got something that works,
right,
why change it?
Right.
Don't fix it if it ain't broke.
Yeah. That's right.
It's something about human nature that we just crave, new things or new ideas. Right. But the reality is that after 38 years of trying everything, you've tried the silent auction, you've tried everything, and you've really concluded that there is a right way to fundraise, to raise. And what we mean by fundraise is raising partners that give the most amount, right?
Yeah.
There's a good way to do that, and there's a bad way to do that.
Right.
Let's get into the nuts and bolts of why.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the strategy.
Yeah. Well, actually, Jason, God has gifted us with two arms. If we added a third arm in our chest, it would really be unnecessary. And I feel like an auction too often is very unnecessary. Number one, it adds a significant amount of time to the staff, the effort that it takes to go to business after business after business and try and get something donated. If I invested that time in getting one or two more table hosts, let me give you some numbers. On average, we see anywhere between 1,200 and 1,500 or more come from a table. On average, we see about $250 from an auction. If my staff are only limited, they've only got a limited amount of time, and I'm trying to decide, do I get them to recruit table hosts or do I get them to get auction items? 100% I'm going to get more table hosts because I've got the potential of not only getting more money, but getting new partners. One of the things we've found over the time is that auctions are a time hog. And in fact, when I go in to talk with an organization and I say to them, we aren't going to do auctions anymore, I can't explain the relief. The relief look on the staff is like, thank you for doing that. In fact, I've had conversation after conversation on the side with people that have come up to me and said, Jim, thank you. Thank you. I didn't know if we could ever stop that. We've also seen that auctions typically are a huge distraction to an event.
Huge distraction.
They really send us off a different direction.
Can I paint a picture?
Oh, absolutely.
Imagine that there is this wonderful item that I didn't know I needed until I showed up at the event.
Right.
I was going to the event to learn about the wonderful organization that invited me.
That's right.
Suddenly, once I stepped into the lobby, I was only concerned about that mixer.
Right.
That mixer is worth $300.
Right.
and it is bidding for 50.
Right.
I want that mixer.
Exactly.
I only want that mixer.
That's exactly right.
I do not care about this organization any longer.
Right.
I am sitting at my dinner enjoying the meal that the organization is paying for me to come and learn about this, and I only can think about mixers now.
Right. That's exactly right.
The organization is giving wonderful testimonies and reasons why they need to be thinking and concerned about this, and I only am dreaming about my mixer.
No, absolutely. In fact, what we end up finding from all our statistics is that when you do an auction year after year, you start to draw and attract the wrong kind of person. You draw a person that's coming there to get mixers or other discounted items, and they really could almost care less about the organization.
Yeah, it's almost like, that's the place that does the silent auction. I wonder what kind of deal I can get.
Exactly. Oh, and by the way, what's the name of the organization? I don't even know what the name of the organization is. I know that they've got their activity going on.
Right. One of the worst things I've seen with the silent auction is in the middle of the appeal where the person should be, writing a check to the organization after a great evening. Yep. They are rushing out to see if they still got their item.
Yeah. I know it really is unbelievable. Yeah. And you end up, what we have found is that when people buy that auction item, they believe that that's their donation to the organization. They completely mentally check out and they eliminate all options for giving either a gift or even a large commitment. Right. They feel like, okay, my $50 for the mixer was my donation. Yep. So when opportunities are presented later on that night to give, they sit back and they say, I already did my part. Yeah. When if presented properly, they could have given 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, but they just mentally feel like they did their part.
Did they really do their part as an investor in the kingdom? Well, if they are self-motivated to get a mixer for their kitchen?
Well, not only did they not do it for the kingdom, they didn't even do it for the tax deduction. Because unfortunately what happens is that you can only declare the amount that is the difference between your purchase price and the value of that item. So if that mixer was worth $250 and you bought it for $50, you have to declare the value and take that portion off that. So you didn't even get that. Whereas if you would have waited to give inside the dinner, you would have had 100% tax deductible gift. What I've found over the years is that this kind of environment almost adds a money changer environment to things. And you remember in Scripture when Jesus went in there and felt like the sellers were defiling his Father's home, and he overturned the tables. It is the same kind of feeling in that this event defiles what you're trying to do in your overall plan for the event.
Yeah, it really gets people on the wrong track.
It does.
It really gets you. I mean, the whole purpose of a vision dinner is to focus on the vision of the organization, the mission, vision, and values. And we have a whole program, which we teach on our Perfect Vision Dinner course. If you want to learn more about that, check that out at fundraisingmasterminds.net. But I mean, we work really hard at building up a experience for people where they really have the opportunity to invest in the ministry. And for them to be distracted on mixers and paintbrushes and, arts
and weekend, villas in Breckenridge,
it's just really not what you want to do.
No,
at all.
It sends people off in the wrong direction. And they're giving for a lot of the wrong reasons.
Number one way to shoot yourself in the foot:
have an auction.
Yeah. So we're sorry if you stepped on any toes, but actually we're not really sorry because, sometimes the truth is needed.
We are all about telling the truth on this show.
And hopefully we did it in a loving way and in a funny way. But if you found this episode to be valuable, please give us a like or a comment. We'd love to hear from you. If you adamantly disagree and you think that auctions are the best way to raise money, tell us in the comments. We'd love to hear your story.
I'm not beyond people telling me I'm wrong, for sure.
Yeah, so definitely do that. And again, if you wouldn't mind subscribing to our channel on YouTube, hit that notification bell so that you get notified the next time we have a podcast coming out, because we release new podcast episodes every week and we don't want you to miss any of them.
No, right.
And Jim, I know that one of our great privileges working in this industry is that we get to work with hundreds of nonprofit leaders.
Absolutely.
All over the country. We work with anyone from pregnancy centers to Christian schools.
All size shapes of organizations.
Yeah, and one of our great honors that we love, just love it, it's one of my best calls all week, is we do a coaching call with 50 nonprofit leaders once a week.
Right.
And really, it's all the people who have signed up for our Perfect Vision Dinner course.
Yeah, I know.
And it's designed to walk people through the process of getting your organization fully funded.
Right.
And we only work with about 50 organizations at one time because we don't think we can handle more than 50.
It's so personalized, the attention.
Yeah, but if that's something that you are interested in, if you're listening to these podcasts and you're like, man, I really, Jim and Jason really seem to know what they're talking about, and I really need someone like
to
Jim,
come alongside and guide you.
We want you to know that we're actually available to you. You may not know that. Sometimes you watch these guys on YouTube and you think, oh, these guys are way up there. They're these untouchable people.
Yeah.
Well, we're not way up there. We're not untouchable. You can contact us at fundraisingmasterminds.net. We are available, and we actually have a course, like I said, the Perfect Vision Dinner course, where you can sign up and you can work directly with us every week, and we'll walk through all the best practices of development and even help you to get on the right track.
Yeah.
So this is a course not just for beginners, right? We've worked with people who have been doing vision dinners for 20 years.
Yeah.
And every time that kind of person goes through the course, they come back to us and say, wow, I learned something. I got something out of this that I wasn't, or I was reminded of something that I used to do that I switched, and now I reminded why we used to do that and why it's important.
Right.
We've also had new people come on who just have never done a vision dinner at all.
Right.
And they're just trying to figure it all out, and they're Googling and they're realizing they need to do silent auctions. And maybe that's one of the reasons why you found this video.
Right.
Is because you're researching how to do a silent auction.
Yeah.
And you're thinking you got to do this. And thankfully, hopefully now, you realize your burden has gotten a lot lighter.
Yeah, absolutely.
But honestly, if you're in that place where you are just looking for how do I do this gala thing? I know one of our friends, they were starting a Christian school.
Yeah.
And they hired a fundraising consultant, paid $10,000 for this guy to come in. And all he said was,
and give him a bunch of ideas. Yeah.
Yeah. One of his ideas was, you got to do a gala.
Yeah.
Sometime in the next year, you got to do a gala.
Yeah.
Didn't tell him how, didn't really point him in the right direction. So what did they do? They started Googling, how do I do a gala? And unfortunately, there's all kinds of bad advice out there, which is why we are populating YouTube with good advice. We need to counter that.
I can still remember the leader of that nonprofit coming up to me after our training and saying, we recently spent $10,000 on someone, and I got more in the first 10 minutes of you talking than I did in spending $10,000 with this person.
Right.
And I thought,
and does
that's
our course,
why we do what we do.
Does our course cost $10,000?
It does not.
It's a lot cheaper than $10,000.
Exactly.
So definitely go check that out, fundraisingmasterminds.net. Link is in the description below. And Jim, any final thoughts about auctions?
Well, like Jason said, I hope we didn't step on any toes, but we are trying to be very honest with you, give you the reasons why we don't believe auctions are the best way to go. Now, are they, as Jason said, are they fun? Are they things that add maybe even some energy to your event? Possibly, potentially, but overall, they may fall in the camp of fundraising, but they do nothing to build long-term, deep relationships for people. Well, and it doesn't help you.
We actually have a fundamentally different approach to fundraising. It's actually called development. You may not have heard that term, maybe you have, but really what it boils down to is friend-raising versus fundraising. And if you don't know the difference between those two, some of the stuff that we say on this show may not make a whole lot of sense. But we do have an episode that you should check out. You can search for it on YouTube. It's called Friend-Raising versus Fundraising. And really that's going to open up your mind to, the approach.
And why we do what we do.
Why we do what we do. Right. Yeah. So we also have a resource that I think we should mention if you're kind of new to the development area and you're feeling overwhelmed. We have a mini course called Development Basics, and it's only $97. You can buy it anytime on our website. I'll put the link in there. It's just fundraisingmasterminds.net, and click on the enroll button, but you're not enrolling to the main course, but it's on that payment page, but you'll see the option there for $97. It's called Development Basics. And really what it is it's a prepackaged presentation of all the different do's and don'ts and best practices of development. And that is just like pouring gasoline on the fire in terms of if you want to really understand best practices of development, definitely check that out. It's available on our website, fundraisingmasterminds.net.
Yeah. It's the key. It's the foundation that is the base behind a strong development structure, having that firm foundation, development basics.
Yep. Well, Jim, it's been an honor again. Thank you for another great episode.
I've
Hopefully
enjoyed
we
it.
made people laugh. Hopefully we were educational. And, if you like the content of this, please let us know in the comments. And if you have any questions at all, write them in the comments, because we read every single one of them and we'll get back to you. Sometimes we do Q&A episodes.
Yeah.
And we have callers call in. And so we would love to have you be one of those callers someday. So definitely reach out to us. And again, thank you for tuning in this week, and we'll see you next time.
Take care.